Coming up on Tea with P.
Legally, you are a legal drug dealer. How does that feel? That's got to be an incredible
Professional
feeling.
drug dealer. Yeah, I get to tell people that. It's fun. Do you know that like flower continues to drop in sales as a category? Because the top categories are easy and accessible.
Yeah.
They are pre-roll packages and they are vape carts.
You have to decide and kind of make the idea of what's going to be hot, what's going to be interesting, what are people going to be asking about, what can I attract the most people with. When you're building a menu, what is that like? What are you looking for?
And that's the eternal small shop struggle.
The downside is that when a criminal comes into your store, they can literally lock the door and then hold you up all day long, and nobody would know anything. Anyone passing by would have no clue what's going on the inside when your life is in danger, and so on and so forth.
It's the silliest thing, right?
That's ludicrous.
You just have to explain that, and you go, it seems pretty obvious why that needs to change.
Are you looking for supplemental lighting? Well, Spider Farmer's got you covered with the new Glow R80 Deep Red Spectrum 660 nanometer supplemental LED grow light. The SF Glow 480 Deep Red Spectrum supplemental LED is perfect for enhancing photosynthesis in plants during flowering and fruiting, promoting robust growth with features like the IP65 waterproof transparent lampshade, the digital programmable timer, and daisy chain design. Users can effortlessly connect and optimize installations for maximum yield of flowering buds and crops. Only $92.99. If you'd like to check this light out, go to spider-farmer.com. Use promo code PIGEONS420, save a few dollars off at checkout, and thanks Spider for being a sponsor of today's video. This stream is also brought to you by AC Infinity. AC Infinity has got a quality name when it comes to products for your garden. Whether it's an inline fan or the Controller Pro 69, they've got you covered. They've got a controller that's going to communicate between all of their devices. From the humidifier to the clip-on fans, regulate everything accurately with the Controller Pro 69. If you go to acinfinity.com, use promo code PIGEONS420, you can get some quality equipment for a quality price. Get the equipment that your plants are going to need and grow some incredible dank. Thank you, AC Infinity, for sponsoring today's live stream. Let's do it.
Come on and lift your glass. You won your own free pass to be our guest. If you're stressed, it's fine dining we suggest. Be our guest, be our guest, be our guest.
I hear you fantastic. How's everyone? Can the world hear you okay? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Good. In a second, it's going to kick into my headphone. For some reason, it always lags for a half second, and then it kicks in.
I'm using these like early 1970s cans now.
I love those, bro.
They got like the curly cord. I had to go and like rush to find an adapter. It was like, this is a much better option than my AirPods.
Oh, man, those are wicked. Those are wicked, bro. I would pay good money for that.
There's a second set I have that are also, they have like slider volumes on the side. They're fun.
Those are wicked. What are those from?
Listening to records and being a dork.
That's it?
That's what they're from. Yeah, like these were thrifted, I think. Garage sales or something. One pair were my parents'. I think it was these ones. And then the other ones I thrifted.
That's wicked, bro. And they're stylish too. They still look like they could do the job. You could roll around on your BMX bike or your scooter or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Chris, bro, it is great to see you, man. I'm so glad that you could come and join me this evening for a great conversation, my brother. We haven't actually sat down and had a great conversation in a few minutes, and it was long overdue.
It's been a couple of them.
Yeah, it has. And I'm so glad that you could join us. Real quick, for anyone that doesn't know who you are, for the couple that have been sitting under a rock for a few minutes, if most people know who I am, they know who you are because you've been on just about every show that I've had, including the show, our own show that we had. But
we hang out every now and then.
Yeah, we'll get there. But who are you, and what do you do?
I get lucky enough to call you my friend, and I own a retail store in Winnipeg and Manitoba here, Black Tie Canna. You and me have done highly motivated together. Spend some time doing that for a little bit as well. But yeah, I mean, that's most of it.
Aside from the fact that you're a husband, a father, entrepreneur, doing all the crazies, you do have your own dispensary, Black Tie Canna, and how many years has that been now? 3, 4?
Yeah, well, we've had the license for about 3 years, and I've had the store for about 9, but yeah, we've had the store. Yeah, had the store for about 9 years now for the cannabis license. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Originally as vaping, and then added on the cannabis once the licensing became available, and they opened it up, and we got the opportunity to go for that.
Yeah, and you hopped on that so fast. I remember the conversation while like we were transitioning from an illegal to a legal market. I remember the conversations that we were having in regards to the future and how you were like, you know what? I love the vaping thing, but if I can get in on this weed thing, this would be wicked. And I remember hearing like your like passion for it. And I remember it was almost like one of those like, oh, I don't know, one of those like, it's a dream. It's one of those like fantasies almost. It was
the thing I wanted to do in the first place. Yeah, you know, the idea of getting into vaping was like, this is kind of close enough to the idea I would have for doing retail. And then I got the opportunity to actually do the thing, and we got really lucky too. In Manitoba, we have mixed use licensing, so you don't have to be a straight cannabis retail store. You can sell other things. So I had the ability to add it on to my existing business. We didn't have to stop selling everything we used to or anything. So that was also very handy.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge. And like watching you over the years as the store has evolved, you have evolved. Your awareness has evolved. It's been a wicked journey to watch you like just take it all in. From
none of being involved in the retail sector has allowed you to sit still for more than 5 minutes. It's kind of crazy how many things change, how quickly everything continues to change and evolve. Both of like the saturation of the market, the evolution of the availability of the products in general. You know, it is the infancy of cannabis's permutation in the market. It is an early experiment what we're dealing with right now. Getting cannabis in more available places is going to change retail models. It's going to be, I think, become a lot more difficult to only be something like that, unless on large scales, and then we're going to regress to, you know, boxer formats, which nobody wants to be completely subjected to that. I think they have to have their place, but I think just like wine stores, specialty cigar stores and stuff like that, having the smaller cannabis store is still just so important. You know, everybody has the decision to create their own menus, and this gets a lot of people that get to communicate in very different ways, and it's great for people to find their niche. It allows them to find their guy. It's not just transactional, and you know, kind of trusting the person you're talking to, and that's important for people to have somebody to reference with.
And I got to be honest, how does it feel to sell people herb legally? You are a legal drug dealer. How does that feel? That's got to be an incredible
Professional
feeling.
drug dealer. Yeah, I get to tell people that. It's fun. It's crazy liberating, and being able to again play in such a very young space, as you're fully aware, is it's interesting because, like I said, everything's changing all the time, and you're getting to see the evolution of the product. Like when I got my license, the quality of the flower that was available in the market was subpar at best. Like there was a lot of trash. The criticism that was taken in the early days was, well suited. That's not the case anymore. There's like too much good weed now. It's you can hit a 30% THC on a board with the dart and you're on a menu. Like everybody's got it. It's so it's really kind of become an interesting thing where you're now getting to educate guests on, because potency's gone up so much that you're really getting to point them in directions of where they want to go with things. Now, people are more educated on terp percentages as a buying point instead of just THC percentages alone. Stuff like that wasn't happening 2+ years ago. And it's just had to make the overall market evolve, and the consumption of products, how they're consumed too. Like even with edibles, early on, just those straight up THC ones was what everybody was after. And as things have evolved, it's way more of like the 1-to-1, 2-to-1s or higher ratios of like CBD, CBN, CBG. We see way more of that stuff. And so it's just kind of neat to see how that evolves, how everything continues to change.
We went legal in 2018, right? And then you had your shop in 2018, right?
No, not same year.
Or I know, I mean, like, you had the shop before, but when did you get? We
had the shop.
When did you get the permit for herb? Was it like a year later?
2021.
Oh, really? It's been that.
Yeah.
God, I get it so conflated. But it's still been
right.
3 years.
Just post COVID. Yeah, it was like the just at it was.
Really? You were post? Oh my God! It's funny how COVID messed with all of us, bro.
Right? Yeah, like it's been a few years.
Yeah,
it's been a few years.
Yeah, man, COVID messed with me, man. I get my time frames are all messed up when I start to think about that. But so my point was you've kind of seen a little bit of a change in the game over the course of the last few years. Has it gotten better? Has it gotten better? Like the quality of the product, the variety of product,
no doubt.
Yeah.
Quality and variety without a doubt. We've got way better quality of like literally every single category. The demand for the market to like produce something that was going to hold up was there. Like again, a lot of the early stuff just didn't hold up. And nowadays, like, there's just such incredible flower, and so much of it is like legal brands that have come over, like Sweetgrass out of BC. Crunch berries is one of my favorite things about being alive. It's not even like their most popular, award winning and all that stuff. There's so much of that now, and then even with. You see a lot of the bigger producers that were growing their stuff and weren't doing well with it just started buying and repackaging. So they're buying better stuff. It's just under a bigger brand's name now. So like even that stuff's gotten better. There's a whole conversation about the struggle of producers in general to survive right now and how difficult it is. Some people are making it happen, but it's from what I've seen been very, very difficult to make money in the process. Having quality product, not a big problem. Having the company that grows that stuff make money has been the problem.
Right.
That's been the big issue.
Bro, I don't know about you, but allegedly when I was a kid, I may have tried to peddle a little bit of marijuana. And the big thing that I learned is, bro, there's no money in it. You can smoke for free, bro. Like that's kind of where it's like, maybe it's, like
you give yourself not enough credit for the skill for what you produce. Like, here's the thing, in the retail market, do you know that like flower continues to drop in sales as a category? Because the top categories are easy and accessible.
Yeah.
They are pre-roll packages and they are vape carts. And that's the thing is most of the open retail market, man, are not that type of person. Their consumption ratings and such are of that of convenience. And that's why like the future of gas stations selling you packs of pre-rolls and stuff is there because of the fact that that's where a lot of the market is. A pack of gummies, a pack of pre-rolls, they don't really, the price per gram has become very comparable nowadays for a lot of brands. So it's for most people, they're just paying to pick up pre-rolls every few days.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with a market where most of the money's in categories like that, it's like you're saying, like it's kind of a little bit more difficult for those bigger producers because you're not even getting the dollar for your quality eighths anymore and stuff like that. It's a value 5-gram bag that takes a good share of that because you can just get really good flour for really cheap,
Right.
paying like $25 or something for 5 grams. And it's like 28-30%, 2+% terps all the time.
So if the future is in, like, if the future is in carts and pre-rolls, is there going to be a desire? Like, then I just think there's even less money in that, right? So it's like,
Well,
how's anyone making money?
Concentrates isn't hard because you don't need good flour for concentrates. You just need the actual contents of what's in there, right?
Sure,
and
good
like,
flour would definitely give you a higher
for like
return.
a distillate, which is right. Oh, for sure. And like there are different styles of carts and that you do need good flour for. But for the vast majority of the consumer market, distillate doesn't have to be that great.
Mm-hmm.
Just the nature of it, but it's most of that market, right? So that isn't even something restricted. I've also seen things recently that's going to make things really interesting in a terrifying and exciting way. Health Canada is looking at reports of, I believe it was micrometals or something with vape carts. And vape carts has already been sitting on a very precarious ground, just like disposable nicotine vapes right now with Health Canada. We are mass throwing away batteries, lithium batteries.
Huge.
And with these, you're right, like it's an incredible, and that's a convenience purchase. There's a category of something where it costs you more per volume of the device than it does as a refillable, but the entire market, or not the entire market, but like a large majority of the market shifted over into a disposable because it's easy.
Man, I'll admit, I've moved into disposables because of its simplicity. I can get out of my car, I can walk to my boy's hockey tournament or his hockey game from the car to the rink and just blast off 4 rips of a cart, and that's the easiest form of method. Don't need a lighter, don't need a pipe, barely smell.
Convenience.
Yep, and you go.
Variety and flavor, variety and
I would be
strains and everything.
I'd be very curious as the impact of these batteries, man, because consuming those disposables, I've thrown away. I have no idea. I can't even count how many batteries.
Thrown away, right? So you haven't recycled them. Thrown them away.
Yep.
And that's the vast majority of how these things are getting.
If the internet's going to hold me
destroyed,
accountable, no, I did not. I disposed of them effectively and efficiently every single time.
Yeah. You can drop off your used disposables at Black Tie. We take those to electronics recycling, just so you know.
Okay, that's remarkable, and I love that. And I really feel as if now that I'm an asshole, I need a way to help people avoid throwing out old carts. So it's a message that we need to spread. Do you think most dispensaries take that shit back, or is that just something that you do?
That's there.
Because you got to go out of your way. You got to go out of your way to dispose of those, correct?
Yes.
No one's coming no one's coming to the store to pick those batteries up and take them to Fido.
No, they come home with me.
Okay. Do you repair them or do you recycle them?
No, I take them to the recycling.
Okay.
Depot.
He's got I know he's got a small fort in his guest house of batteries that he's made.
Waiting for a chemical fire.
yeah, chemical fire. Yeah, it's the last thing we need, bro. Yeah, I would be interested to know of the the environmental impact of these batteries. Yeah, like, is it huge? I'd be curious.
Yeah. And even with the vape carts, like we're talking about, that's just depending on the elements. Some of them are ceramic, but it's just a bunch of metal and glass and plastics that are getting hucked out. So it's hard to. It's just such a mass consumable versus things like. But now, again, when you consider with the regular concentrate market, there's not the diversity of flavors and the convenience. You have to refill the thing, all that other stuff, right? Minor learning curves.
Right.
And that's counterintuitive to the it's for everybody. And what an incredible thing. Now, if there's going to be, we're finding out that there's going to be a bunch of health risks associated with these things, because to be honest, it kind of makes sense. The vape carts we're using, those were originally developed for e-juice.
Right. They were.
So some of these have been modified to be able to run the higher temperatures for your concentrates, but like tiny elements getting really, really, really hot, and we're huffing the things. So I wouldn't be surprised. I'm interested to see what the report comes out, but that's I mean that's going to shift things because we're in a legal market. Corporations aren't going to lose all of that. So what new is going to come to replace that?
You're right. Yeah. How do you replace that? You're right. They're
a big category, and like that's not gonna just leave.
No.
So it's gonna.
Not if you're telling me that's nudging out the rest of the sales, right? If that's nudging out the flower sales, that's nudging out the. But that's it. That's the sale. We need a healthy alternative, or not healthier, but a far more efficient alternative. Maybe we do away with the disposable ones, and then we just focus and double down on the individual ones.
And then maybe those devices get better. Like there wasn't a lot of good portable dry herb vape devices for the longest time. We were very restricted to what we had available. And that's boomed, right? You were recently talking about that with your Stork and Bickle toys. And I've always been a good fan of Verizon. You know, they're a Canadian company. There's so many players in that space now that even that the cheaper knockoffs from overseas are still a good enough device that it works. And as long as it gets the job done and that's your price point, fantastic. You are now consuming cannabis in a much healthier way.
Yeah.
So it's great that that's accessible there. And so maybe that's what's going to happen. Maybe things like the OCAN XL, you run that thing lots, or any of these type of concentrate devices for like shatters and such. Like they're just going to get better.
Yeah, well, they have gotten
probably
better.
Where that's going to go.
You introduced me to my first machine when you introduced me to the Dr. Dabber. That was the first that we got really excited about. Remember that? That was the Dr. Dabber XL.
The Boost. It was like the Boost, I think.
Boost. Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
Yep, the Boost. And that was huge. That was really cool because, in my opinion, that was the first. That was a long time ago, but that was the first time, and that was before you had your license to sell. That was as you were
before
a vape store.
Store, I think.
Was it? Was it? No, I think you had the store.
No, I must. Yeah, see, that's been almost a decade now, so that one's like
right. I know. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID, but anyway, you provided me with my first e-rig, and it was a Dr. Dabber. It was the Boost. I still have it, actually. In fact, and because the glass broke, but I can't use it. But boy, have they come a long way, because that was concentrates. Then the dry herbs were before that. Puffco. Well, you know what? In fairness, I like Puffco, but I'm a Dr. Dabber guy myself. Like, if I had to pick between the two, you set me on Dr. Dabber. Puffco is doing its thing. Don't get me wrong; they've got a very good quality system. Very different. Works quite effectively. I've tried it. I enjoy it. But deep down, I'm definitely I'm a Dr. Dabber guy. I'm a Dr. Dabber guy.
Tiny dabs. This is tiny dabs.
It's
Yeah.
just tiny dabs. You're right. Yeah, just tiny dabs. No big deal. But you got me hooked on that.
Yeah, that was fun, and it's fun seeing those things evolve and come out of the necessity and what's available, and a lot of that was during the concentrate booms.
Yes.
And so that's where we started to see there was a necessity for it. It wasn't just those weird little 510 pens where you put like a tiny little bit and you're just like, and then you get like, okay, I'm gonna reload it, and then you give it to your other friend and like, those are terrible, and nobody should ever use those again. But you don't have to. Like, there's way better options.
Yeah, how things have gotten so much better, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bro, okay, so I have to ask, what's the best thing? Because man, you have the coolest job. Anyone who's listening, he is a dispensary owner. What do you do to the new product? What's the new product? You test it, right? You test all it. That smile right there. He's like, yeah, damn right I do. What's the best thing about being a dispensary owner? Anything and everything. What's the best thing about it? What's the best thing about being a professional drug dealer?
Free coffee.
Free coffee? Yeah. The people bring you coffee?
No, just at work.
Which, it's not Black Rifle coffee. What is the name of that? Sorry, I ask 100 questions at a time. What's the name of that coffee that you had in local stuff?
We now sell coffee too, actually.
Oh, you have your own coffee?
Fresh bean. I'm working on
forget about them.
our own beans, but
forget about them. What's your coffee?
That's Sheepdog. No, they're a great Manitoba company as well too. They do nitro cold brews. They're incredible, and barbecue seasonings, which are also quite delicious.
Yeah, welcome to the prairies. They specialize in coffee and barbecue seasonings. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Yeah.
California coffees.
Yeah. What's the best thing about being a dispensary owner, bro?
I think it's, especially because of right now at this time, it's about getting to participate in the crazy. I think this is going to inevitably get a lot less fun as time goes on. Mm-hmm. Just the nature of new commodities. I there's a lot of us that think cannabis is special in a lot of ways, and it is. But as a thing that gets sold, and as I keep watching how, like, again, the pre-rolls and the vape carts and the Pax edibles are the things that do well here. And I still think the beverage market's something that's going to grow too once it becomes more accessible.
Yes.
But and better companies get involved. But that's the fun
Jones
part.
Cola.
It's just like, yeah, like, and they've got involved. They made an extra $300,000 last year. It was like, congratulations. They haven't, like, I don't understand. They talked about coming to Canada, and they still haven't entered into any of the provinces here. I think that's
the change. Maybe you might even be far more privy to this than I am. I
haven't seen anything new.
Okay, we covered an article 2 weeks ago that was about a Jones Cola coming into. Oh man, I don't know if maybe it was just the prospect of joining into Canada, but there was something. Okay. Yeah, there was something.
During their launch, like when they announced that they were entering into it a few years ago or a year ago. Again, what is time? They did say that, like, their intention, they were going to start in California, and their intention was to come into the Canadian market.
God,
and then I hadn't heard anything since. Yeah, well, they've got they were doing like a So Delicious style gummies, right? And then on top of those drinks, and I think that you add that and have those things inevitably be available to drink at like a Jets game here,
bro. Yes,
or just out at a restaurant or anything like that. Like, it's just going to be a thing. And those are we're even in this province, we're reviewing consumption lounges now. Like, there's all these pieces are going to continue to get pushed at and asked for because everybody wants it. And that, that's the fun part. That's the fun part is participating. I enjoy participating in the crazy and trying to get to define what's happening here. And then watching other great people do fun things too.
Yeah, bro. Like you and I are in it. You know, like you and I are in it, and I totally agree with you when you say, when you mention what's the best part about it is being a part of the crazy. You and I have talked about this, and it's like we already jumped that first hurdle where it's like getting in. You did all the bureaucracy, right. You got all the paperwork done, you've jumped the hoops, you did what you needed to do, and now you're in. You're in. You get to participate in the crazy. And I feel like as someone who's also in just a different segment of the very same industry, it's the the evolution of what's been happening has been so exciting, because to see the participants now, to see the businesses, to see the product, to see the involvement from the community, that is incredible. And seeing
like,
that evolve is cool.
Man,
be a part of
the
that.
Cannabis industry is the dog sitting in the burning room, everything's fine meme.
Yeah.
It is, right. It is this, all these big, massive trading companies are shutting their doors every other day. And so are the little guys, and so are the medium guys. And that's in retail, and that's in production, and, in so many different spaces. So it's just, you're always just like,
it's fine.
Having
the time of my life. Having the time of my life. Yeah.
It's interesting, as you learn, maybe people that you're like, I don't know if you're going to do well, and they're just killing it, because your early understanding of how this market was going to develop. And there was a lot of this, it was even me being naive of not thinking that convenience was going to win out when I was watching it happen in another sector. And I'm like, no, weed is, this is how we smoke, right? Like these are things.
This is
like
what we do.
Even accessories, I'm surprised we sell them, but I thought we would be it would have been a bigger driver of a category than it is. And it's just because most new people aren't buying bongs.
Yeah.
People that you're either maintaining what you're dealing with, right? But it's not, nobody's picking up and starting from a bong right away because they don't have to. Right. I mean, grandma can start day one ripping 90% concentrates. It's just, it doesn't, the barrier is just so easy now, right? Grandma, yeah, it's great. Baby. It's exactly. Like, look, it's available for everybody in so many methods, and it's fantastic. Totally you want capsules, you want whatever it is, suppositories. I just got a company that was listed in the province, and they have popcorn and beef jerky, and I mean, we've already had sugars and creamers and stuff, but they have that stuff too. What else do they have? There's a whole bunch of confectionery, but it was just kind of, chips. And the chips were made in a chip factory that my wife likes, but I can't remember. I'm going to go to Mrs. B on this one. What's the chip? No, right. She's got me. It's delayed. I think she's listening to us in the headphones.
Oh, yeah. She's there, the manager and a manager here.
Yeah. No.
Jumping to text her?
Oh, yeah. Wait, she's noticing.
Oh, yeah. Mrs. P was like, "Do you want me to text her?" She'll clue it. You'll get it in a second. She'll be yelling it in a second.
Miss Finelli's or something?
Oh, Miss Vinny's. Miss
Vicky's.
Miss Vicky's. Yep,
yes, yeah. So they're made in the same factory, but they're infused.
Okay.
And so it's like,
dope.
I was like, yeah,
because Miss Vicky's is a kettle cooked.
It's not them, but it's made by the same factory that makes them.
Right. Yep. I got you.
So I was like quality chips.
Yeah, quality damn chips. That's so dope. Yeah, man, it's such an exciting time. But and you would offer. Go ahead. Sorry. No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say that in this province, we can convenience stores and stuff. We have licensing and such available for them to be able to sell cannabis. So, there's already this one that's downtown in our city that has kind of they very early on pivoted from just being cannabis and started bringing in groceries, and they ended up working with the co-op program to provide their groceries, and they're downtown in a grocery desert, right? Like they're servicing an area that desperately needs these type of things anyways. And they're removing like a barrier for people, right? And even in an age gated environment, whether they keep that or not, they're able to like provide this multi-service and gives the diversity, and then it you know, things like that get to help with the saturation that's going on. And also it's just, I think these like, that's the future where like cannabis is just going to be everywhere, right? Like it's going to be, we talk about like, oh, booze might be in grocery stores. Weed's already in grocery stores. Superstore already does it. I actually think they closed that one location, but you know, like it's a thing. Gas stations are getting it. It's just going to be everywhere, and we're like we don't even have that with booze.
I know. I totally agree with you. I totally agree. And it's only a matter of time. Only a matter of time. It's getting more exciting. Getting more exciting as time advances.
Yeah, it's neat. It's such a, what a neat experience to be able to have that with people that care about the product, and you're also getting this other service from them.
Yes.
And you just becomes this like that's, I think these community hubs, it's, you know, it's one of the reasons I brought coffee in the store. I'm like, I think just the evolution of really becoming that stereotypical Amsterdam coffee house. I know we can't consume inside legally yet, but creating that atmosphere, providing multiple services, local goods, all this stuff, giving you a reason like to be the guy that you go see for these reasons, because it's not just this simplistic thing. Because otherwise you order drugs online.
Yep.
Pretty easy.
You're right. You're right. It's pretty easy and it'll get done. Yeah. What's different? No, that's very exciting. Very exciting. The question I was going to ask was, because I know I think this is pretty rhetorical. You're going to offer chips. You're going to offer drinks. Pretty much anything. Will you say
infused products?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, like we already have beverages.
Right.
We just got a new one that tastes like Mountain Dew.
Is there anything you'd say no to? Is there anything like nah? No. You're like no. What about infused CBD condoms?
Like, I mean, there are lubes that we have available already.
Okay.
I brought in a case last year once, and like they took a little while to sell. They weren't like a hot topic thing.
Forget about how they sold, how they feel.
Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah. We both have kids, married. There's who's using condoms anymore. You know, I've heard of like what about CBD pillowcases? We sell those. I guess if there's a fucking market for it, I think there's a market. Like honestly, I think I know you well enough. You're like, well, if people are gonna buy them, then yeah, I would sell it. Right? Yeah. Like, why would you say no?
Well, you know, there's things that early on. That's why you have to like remove yourself from when you're building out a menu, because like
that's
capsules.
Fair.
I was like, I didn't like give too much for them early on, and now I see a great use for them, even in my own case, especially going out and just having that little time dump of surprise, you're high again a little bit later. And then just for a lot of regular people who aren't exactly consuming the same way I'm consuming as well too, and the variety that comes in that category.
You're totally right, man. You're totally right, because you formulate your menu. It's like, it's no different than when say someone's stocking the food up for a restaurant, or literally making the menu for a restaurant. You have to decide and kind of make the idea of what's going to be hot, what's going to be interesting, what are people going to be asking about, what can I attract the most people with. When you're building a menu, what is that like? What are you looking for?
Yeah, and that's the eternal small shop struggle. Is, you
said you remove yourself, but obviously your input's important, because if you like it, I feel like someone else might like it, and if you don't like it for whatever reason, say it just smells like hay, I feel like it's fair to say someone else isn't going to like that either. So some personal element is important, but sorry.
Yeah, my standard is really, it's the value for the dollar. The dollar does what's the value it's providing, and what is that relationship to the rest of the menu too. I don't like a lot of overlap there. I run a smaller menu, and it should be a pretty easy close your eyes and just hit one of them. You know, if you just don't care, if you're looking for something specific, then we can kind of run through it. But it's more about making sure that the people that have $5 in their pocket have something. The person that's like trying to leave with, you know, the value purchase, the I want the prettiest looking buds purchase, the right, like trying to cover all of those bases and make sure that everybody has an opportunity to get the same thing.
What speaks to you, man? What when you're looking for your particular smoke? People know that I'm like when I'm looking, I want funk. I want funk when it like nasty. I want armpity, footy, kind of the nasty. And then I want it to hit me like a train. And I know specifically that that's not going to reach to the most amount of people. If someone like right. I know that the skunk doesn't always reach the most amount of people. They don't want that. They don't want to open that up and it smells like an armpit because they prefer something that's a little sweeter. So maybe that's what do you look for? What do you enjoy?
Yeah, I like something. I really, whether it's a little sweeter or it's got a little bite to it. I avoid the peppery a little bit more. I just, you know, the coughing. If it's going to catch me in the throat a little heavier, then that's something I'll push away from a bit more. But I like an uplifting body high. I have to like you said, feel it as though you've thumped me in the chest, and then, but I also have shit to do. So it's just things that like have that little bit of a big kick up to it. Like an orange tings or something, where it's just got that like,
yeah,
smell.
Good job.
Yeah,
oh, bam. Yep.
Right in the jejunum.
Yeah.
You know, a little bit of the extra, but I find if I get too much, especially with high percentage sativas, I sip it like water, and then I've got like I get just like head tired from it a lot. So, you know, I try to stick away from that.
Sorry, I was coughing up a lung and I realized that you can hear me. They can't. When I cough, so I was like,
coughing?
Yeah. I'm coughing because I may or may not allegedly have consumed, and I'm dying. And then I realized that you can hear me. They can't. So needless to say, he's a little bit distracted. It's because I'm coughing up in his ears while he's trying to talk. So one thing I wanted to talk to you about, bro, is that, well, I think this was like 2 years ago now, man. You were broken into. You had your place like like
robbed, early on too. Yeah. We were part of a string of guys that got hit in the city very early on when they opened up licensing, and
that's gotta fucking suck, man. How, like, I know you and I have talked about this, so I kind of know the inside, but man, that must have been personal, bro. Violated.
Yeah, it's like it. You know, it's like not that it was like to be expected, but you go like, of course.
You really did.
And yeah, no, like it's like, of course this happens, and a lot of that, like some of that is where they focus requirements on security and such. At things that I think need to be taken more. Well, yeah, like, you know,
I know that they want you to put a solid door up on the vault. Well, it's not even a vault. It just needs to be a locked, consumed door. You need to have a camera in there. You need to.
Fine with lockable cabinets. You know, any like a IKEA cabinet that can be locked in a locked room. So those were a lot of the baseline stuff. That's changed. You know, a lot of that's changed very heavily. Okay. So, you know, that's the requirements have gone up, but it was just early on, you know, it was more about like, we got to cover the windows so the kids can't see in. But, you know, if you lock the doors and there's cameras in the security system, you're good to go. And so stuff like that definitely needed to be adjusted.
Totally. And just for anyone that does not understanding, you would black out the windows so that children can't see what's going on the inside because they're clearly dumb, naive, and stupid. But the downside is that when a criminal comes into your store, they can literally lock the door and then hold you up all day long, and nobody would know anything. Anyone passing by would have no clue what's going on the inside when your life is in danger, and so on and so forth.
It's the silliest thing, right?
That's ludicrous.
You just have to explain that, and you go, it seems pretty obvious why that needs to change.
Yeah.
But like some provinces have Alberta, and I think BC did that as well. I don't think BC had that up. I know Alberta took theirs down because they had a string of robberies that were taking advantage of the fact that like you just walk in, turn around, lock the door, you control the building now.
Yeah. You control the building now. That's a great way to put it. You control the building. That's crazy. People don't understand that we don't have here in Canada. We don't. I suppose you could keep a firearm on the premises. It would have to be. Well, I don't even know actually when we talk about this particular business. Because maybe
you get like armed security technically as well. Okay,
fair. Okay, but Lord help you, the cost of that. I'm just thinking like here in Canada, you could. I don't know the logistics of whether or not you could keep the two of them together. I know at home I don't have an issue. However, being in a business, I know that let's assume you can. Let's assume the law doesn't say that you can't. That firearm would still have to be unloaded and locked up. So that's the law. That's the law of firearm ownership here in Canada. So you don't even have that as a protection to protect yourself. If people are like, well, have a firearm. Well, I'm not going to tell my friend to break the law, at least in front of the public eye on the internet. But that's legally not an option. Now you're in a cave with a criminal with a locked door. They can't see in. They are probably armed because, believe it or not, criminals don't follow the law, even though your firearm might be there, locked and unloaded. It's like, shit. This is frustrating.
Well, I mean, they had a problem just like we did with liquor stores for a while in Alberta, and then it's lessened and it hasn't been the issue that it used to be. And like with my shop, they did it in the middle of the night, so I didn't. I got the alarm notification.
You weren't there
and watched the video. No, they Navy SEAL drilled out my lock and did the whole thing, and so it that was a little bit of a different circumstance in terms of that, because luckily we haven't had any issues. In terms of that, the community's been fantastic, and I've been lucky enough in the 9 years that we've never had any issues.
Right.
Well,
and heaven forbid.
Yeah.
Because he is heavily armed, and it's loaded, and there are cannons and tanks in the back with heavily armed personnel and helicopters that scout all the time. So don't even try it. Even try it. You have the footage. Do you mind? We don't have it right now, but do you mind if I overlay it on the video, just a little snippet of it of them coming in and taking your shit?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
I have to find it and search it, but so this is the bonus of watching these videos back afterwards, is that I get to edit it and remove all the times we said the C word and all that stuff. So just so they can get a little idea of how scary it is. Nobody was there, thankfully, thankfully that nobody's there, and so on and so forth. Okay, so here I asked you what was the best thing about being a professional drug dealer. What's the worst thing about being a dispensary owner / professional drug dealer?
I think it's just the inverse of the same thing I like about it. There's so much chaos. It is such a burning room of chaos, and there's so much of this. It's regulated industries, and I'm involved in two of them with the C word and with vaping. and those things can change like that, and it has nothing to do with you. It is none of your decisions. It's all regulatory. Vaping's facing a flavor ban and a federal one. And so, if that goes through, that's going to change vaping in Canada quite drastically. And that conversation as part of the vape cart thing too, because cannabis companies are not playing really on par with a lot of these flavors, like how they're supposed to be flavored. There's a lot of conversation because the category is incredibly popular, and so they're looking at it, right? And they're going like, hey, how are you making this taste like root beer with natural terpenes and all that fun stuff?
Right. Impossible.
And
well, I wouldn't say impossible, just we're not there yet.
And like for some of it is being done that way, but there's, as you know, there's lots. There the testing stuff, all that fun stuff. There are gaps in the fence where things sneak through. And as that evolves, which is also exciting too, as we get a more regulated, high quality product, like that's what that's all facing towards. And it's part of the reason we all bitch and complain, but we're just like I said early on, like it's you trip over good weed all the time. Now it's not, if you're going to shops if you're going to a big shop, a big corporate shop, they have purchasers that are making deals with producers and are getting kickbacks. They're selling shelf space. They're doing all the things that large, like what Best Buy does or what any other big box store or a retailer does. An LG TV's on an end cap because they paid to be there that week for that sale. It's not just because Best Buy thought it looked nice. They're making money off of it, and there are cannabis retailers that operate that like that. And so that's what you're getting available to you if you want to purchase off of dollar, right? Like that's the selection. And then there's where you get into smaller guys where it's just like they're just picking up what they think they want everybody to get and trying things and having more hand-on experiences. And that's where it's a positive of the mix of having those different retail experiences, having these guys in more residential nodes where they can become the more community centric.
Right. And that's the reality of an ever-changing system that is unpredictable and can essentially go from static to chaos overnight based on regulation and that flavor ban has been around. Like if I'm not mistaken, you and I have been talking about that for like the last 2 years. Go ahead and insert time.
There's been provincial things. There's been early on pushes to have it included when we were first getting legislated and added into the Tobacco Act. So those things were avoided because there was still a lot of uncertainty in general anyways. And as Health Canada's shown with how they've handled all this Zyn stuff, you'll see that like they don't have a clue what's going on, right? Not. Because they let Imperial Tobacco just totally lie to them, and they're like, "Oh, it's a smoking cessation, but this doesn't need excise tax or whatever." And it's like 20 milligrams of nicotine, and like I know you can get way higher in the States, but that's a pack a day level. Like it's tons, like 50s tons. You're getting crazy Nick buzzes off of these things. Like no one was ever consuming this much nicotine before, and so it's just insane, right? We've just taken this thing to the other levels, and those are some of the the lesser knowns and such. So and Health Canada's just let them bring that into Canada without getting it excised and such, and making it just like e-juice is or cigarettes. So they got to surpass all that. And then like they're quoted being like, "We were duped by Imperial Tobacco." And it's just like, how though? Did you even look at it? Did
you not pay attention?
Did you ask any questions?
No,
because they're being allowed to make
money,
millions and millions of dollars off of this. Like they're making millions and millions of dollars off of this, and the Canadian government's not getting a dime for it, outside of regular, like retail tax. But they should be. It should be excised to be on par with the rest of it.
Why not? Of course.
If we're playing within the system, it should be participating in it.
Of course. It only makes sense. Let's include it like everything else. Now you mentioned to cap on this, because I want to start and on a positive note. When it comes to the future of products, Where do you mention the cart? You mentioned pre-rolls. You mentioned not necessarily needing the premium product if you're going to do concentrates because it does the job. Where do you see the future of products and the primary mode of consumption based on sales? So based on what you're seeing for people's consumption, where do you think the future is?
It's going to be between carts and pre-rolls. Like, I mean, those are going to be, it is going to continue along these convenience paths. We'll see how the science and everything of carts continues to play out. But it's the combination of those things too, like infused pre-rolls. Again, you're giving access of these nuclear bombs of things that took us learning lessons and the ability to roll in general, let alone knowing what to do with your keef and all those fun things, or add in whatever other extract you're adding to these infused pre-roll distillates or what have you. And it's, ways to add flavor, all this stuff. It's so convenient, and so much of the stuff now is good. I know we like the blunts that is just, me and my wife just smoked a 1 gram, and it's those heavier wraps. It's not the tobacco leaf wraps because they can't combine the two here as part of the law. It's currently not allowed to have them both in the same package. So they're, other types of wraps, but hemp leaf and such. And so it's you get, like, it was a sample, but so you just pop the thing open and then it's there. And then we smoked it.
Yeah.
And then I came on here, and that was a sample situation. And it's not like I don't roll those things for us at home, but it's hard. That one tasted like root beer.
Yep.
I didn't do anything. I just opened it.
Right?
You know what,
like, I don't disagree.
How is that not the future? Like, that stuff's going to continue just to get better. Flour's going to continue to get better. That stuff's going to be available for us. My jet's not going anywhere. I don't think it's that they're dying off. I just think that we're also bringing in so many new people that didn't consume before, and we're giving them more options than we ever got to play with originally coming into it.
Yes.
And the healthy person's not going to pick the bong.
You're absolutely right. You're not. They're not. You're right. No, and they shouldn't. In fairness,
it's not even the best value proposition, right? No. Like, when you compare to the other types of products that are available,
right? And I'm trying some of these vapes lately. Some of these ball-less vapes and stuff. I don't understand. Are wicked, man. Like, they are kicking in the face. So it's like, yeah, you know what? Convenience is going to win, and I do think you're right in regards to pre-rolls, carts, and so on and so forth, because it's convenient. It's easy. Take it and leave it. I've had a few. Shout out to Jesse from Toblerone. I had a few extra pre-rolls in my chest pocket, and I've been smoking them outside my boys' hockey game. When we all go outside the rink, I don't care what anyone thinks. If they're all sparking up cigarettes, I spark up a joint. And I just smoke it right there, and it is what it is. I love that, and I love the convenience of just pulling out a pre-roll that's already ready to go, and just go. And I sometimes smoke half of it, throw it away, or what have you. But convenient.
But it's cannabis for everybody. It's getting people that would never touch it. It's getting older generations, people that are only would buy a bottle of wine. How do you get the soccer mom to buy a pack of pre-rolls? She's not going to buy flour and a grinder and pack it, paper and do all that unless she has the desire to. But she's going to come in and buy a pack of pre-rolls or a vape cart or gummies.
And she should.
Right? Like,
it should be easy.
The business guy, same thing too, right? Picking up a 6-pack of beverages instead of drinking because he's like tired of waking up on a Wednesday because it's playoffs.
Yeah,
and he's hungover. Right? Like, it's just there's alternatives and they can fit better into people's lives, and it's more weed. Hooray.
It's more weed for more people, brother, and that's what I like, man. That's what I love, and you are at the forefront of making that happen, brother. Making that happen, man. If there's somewhere that people wanted to reach out to you, because for any reason, where would they do so, my man?
Really through like Black Tie. Charleswood on Instagram's a good way. You can hit me up. Any of the store's socials, we're on Facebook, X, Instagram. Check us on blacktiecannabis.ca. You can email us directly there. Any of that fun stuff, the menu's kicking on there and everything as well too, for anybody that's in province or like any of the accessories stuff.
Brother, thank you so much, man. This was a wicked conversation. Yeah, living the dream as someone who can do something that so many people dream of doing, and breaking through and doing it and hustling and grinding, man. And it feels great to have somebody who's on the inside, just like me, you know. So we have these conversations.
Fun. This is what's made it all fun too, right? Right? Yeah, exactly. It makes it fun to have somebody who's like, it's crazy,
and we can write it off as a business expense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Chris, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you for joining, man. This was wicked, man. Anyone and everyone should go and check this guy out and go support the cause if you can. I know we got a lot of local viewers, so make sure you go and check things out, because he's got it going on. And I love the layout of your store. I love the gentleman. No, I don't want to alienate anyone, but I love I'm going to rephrase. I love the formal appeal of it, and I love the personal feel of it. And I think when people come in, they're really going to enjoy that welcoming vibe that Black Tie offers. And
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for being on, man. This was, I think we're on episode 10, so thank you for being 9. Thank you for being the top 10 for me, man. I appreciate you, brother. It means the world to me.
I appreciate it. Thank you,
bro.
Have a good rest of your night, bud.
Thank you, man. You too. Huge shout out to my boy Chris, man, for being here on the show tonight. It wouldn't be a show if it wasn't for my man Chris, because he's been on all of my adventures, and there's going to be so many more adventures between him and I. I just know it. So huge shout out to Chris from Black Tie Canna. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you, brother. And shout out to him and his fam, who I know are supporting him and his cause as well, man. Shout out to you guys for that episode. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, go ahead and leave that in the comment section below, because I'm always open to what you guys are saying or thinking.